I've talked about before on this very show how I love Twitter, but I do feel like, even as a digital marketer and marketing coach, you get spread out thin. And that's when you're doing it and it's your jam. So when you're a creative business owner, I get it. Like, it can be a real struggle. And Twitter is the most common platform that creative business owners just neglect, honestly. I think every time I talk about this, like, yeah, we have a Twitter, but, and then ... and that really means you don't really give it much love or post to it. And the thing about Twitter is it is by far, I think, the most unique of all the platforms. It is one that absolutely rewards constant engagement and participation, whereas the other ones can be a little more lean back, right? Facebook, even to some extent, YouTube and Instagram, you can post and sit back and still react in the comments. Twitter, it's not quite like that. To really get the most juice for the squeeze, you got to be there. You got to be present. You got to bring it. And so I wanted to start this new segment, and I launched it in my most recent episode of News Cycle. It was the September 2021 episode of News Cycle, a segment called Meet a Tweeter. And this is the result. The first inaugural kickoff person for Meet a Tweeter is Kayla Naab. One other quick note before we start the episode. I talk about how I really failed on a video front for this episode. Well, I did go back after the fact and produce this entire segment and the rest of the News Cycle show in video format. So if you'd like to watch it, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/tricyclecreative, or you can find it at tripodpodcast.com. Let's go.
You're listening to Tripod, a podcast produced by Tricycle Creative to help safely navigate creative business owners through the worlds of digital marketing, strategic content creation, and business growth. Host Ross Erosion is a marketing consultant, content creator, and entrepreneur who brings you helpful tips, social media updates, inspiring interviews, and his own unique perspective on how to tell your story and grow your business. So if you're interested in being a better marketer, business owner, or creator, sit back, relax, and let's get pedaling.
Hey, Kayla.
Hello, Ross. Glad to be here.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. I'm as good as can be expected.
Now, are you currently drafting a tweet as we speak?
No, but I will be back on Twitter live full time. I'm always there as soon as this recording is over.
To talk about what a shitty experience this recording started out as, because it was meant to be, guys, pulling back the curtain. I had this giant video thing I've been spending weeks on, and it just completely turned out to be a steaming pile and could not get it together. So I said, whatever, we'll do it live. We'll do it audio. So that's why we're here. So you're going to tweet all about the failures
That's right.
of Ross when it comes to live video, which is totally fine. I accept it.
It's a good lesson for listeners. Sometimes you just have to accept the technical failures. So that's the first lesson of the podcast today.
This new segment, this Meet a Tweeter segment, I thought it would be interesting because, as I said, the time I spend on Twitter, I really enjoy. And I'm there a lot. Like, I'm maybe a Twitter lurker, more so than a participant.
You gotta jump in.
Well, it's one of, like, when I go through my order of operations of, like, okay, I'm going to consume stuff on social, I usually go there and go to the search tab, right, and look through trends and look at all that stuff. Like, I spend a lot of time in there just looking at, okay, news, sports, the For You, right? Yeah. I spend a lot of time in there. And then I usually just kind of dip out. But I wanted to bring you on because when it does come time for me to spend time in my timeline, right? You're always there.
Yeah.
Your stuff is always there.
Yes, you have to kind of have a constant presence on Twitter, I'm finding. And I think the same is true on Instagram or TikTok or a lot of other platforms. Twitter was the one for me because it's word-based instead of image-based, but I I am there all of the time. And I think that that's how you kind of get a handle on the language around Twitter, too. There's a certain kind of cadence to conversations, and if you're out of it, you're out of it. If you're in it, you're in it. I think it's just kind of, you have to commit a little bit.
Here's what I also love. You somehow, I'm going to say master. I'm going to give you total props.
Nice.
Like, have mastered this, like, it's still a stream of consciousness, but it's not like, it's still of value. Like, so I pulled a tweet. I want to say from the last couple weeks of yours. Throw out your handle, Kayla, also, just so people who are listening, they can follow you.
Yes, it's at Kayla Naab, so it's KaylaNaab.
If this were a video, I had it. I made a whole graphic for it. Okay, anyways, okay. And the tweet was, what if you could subscribe to a high-value DM every couple weeks from a brand you like instead of an email?
Yeah.
I loved that. And that spurred on some conversation, too. A lot of people commented on that.
There were a lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts on both sides of the, I don't want brands coming in my DMs and spamming me, to, I'd love to clear out my inbox and have, more of a social conversation. So mixed reviews. And, that's actually kind of a thing I'm learning on Twitter, is I need to be more brazen with my what ifs and my opinions. I'm finding a lot of people are ready with the opinions on Twitter. So that definitely works there.
Well, isn't that kind of, I think, to its strength, and also I think the biggest challenge is Twitter is by far, when used properly, I feel like the most designed to be conversational.
Yes.
And they never strayed from that, much to the chagrin of some of the users that still ask for basic or, tools like delete tweets and edit tweet. It's like, and Twitter just holds off forever. And it's like one of those things that, like, every town hall meeting or something they have is going to come up and like, yeah, we're looking into it, or they all laugh. They all like the new guy brings it up, and they all like look around and laugh. At, like,
it's an inside joke.
He's new here. You're never going to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about Twitter?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's the immediacy of everything. Twitter really does break news. And that doesn't have to be big worldly news. Maybe it's pop culture. Maybe it's sports. It seems like everyone is on Twitter when things are happening. And so I like that immediacy a lot.
It's so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. It's like the forgotten thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like the forgotten platform. But then when something goes down, whew,
yep.
That's where it's happening. It's so
I
true.
Like that. I like that about Twitter, because I feel like for somebody then creating content, that stream of consciousness, that like half filter, half unfiltered kind of content that I like, it's easy to find there. Everything else is very high polish, very, pre-production, right? Even TikToks now are this like multi-level editing experience, and I don't have the stamina, to be honest with you, and B, I don't want to consume fake shit all day, to be honest with you. I just don't.
On that note, I guess flipping that, what's your least favorite thing about Twitter?
The politics, the toxicity, the places where people are getting in arguments that aren't about dumb stuff anymore. Really serious arguments that I think are fanned in the flames of, the way that media is consumed anyway. But Twitter seems to be particularly toxic.
Yeah, I think it's dark spaces can be particularly dark. But I will say, and this is probably a conversation for another day, Twitter, like many of the platforms, are doing their efforts to do a cleanup of that, and it sometimes feels like a scorched earth policy.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they're doing something, whether or not the something is the correct path or the best path, I don't know, but they are doing something.
I see them trying to at least combat misinformation and some of those things that make me feel like it's a safer platform to spend time on. But it's still a challenge. When you're sharing space with other humans, it's always kind of a Wild West. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you'll encounter. So one of the things I would recommend to you, and I think would have you engaging with your feed more and less with just the search page, is to curate what you're following almost constantly. So I do actually go in and cull who I follow probably a couple of times a month. That sounds harsh. Usually I don't remove anybody with the bots. No, it feels good
when you do it. It's been a long time since I did it, and I'm not going to lie. Like, it feels really good.
Yeah.
It used to be those things, too. I did it, and I should probably do it. I'm overdue to do it with my Facebook page, too.
Totally.
But weirdly enough, I kind of just like, even though the group component for Marketing Clarity, my new coaching program, is in Facebook groups, it's kind of just because Facebook groups is doing groups the best right now.
Totally, by far.
So it's kind of like the other alternatives, but as much as people bemoan Facebook groups is where they're pushing all the chips in, and honestly, it is kind of the best framework. I'm not going to say it's the best platform. It's just the best setup and framework for it.
It is, and having all those profiles already built in does help people to acquire. And, I think the reason, and, this will get off on a tangent, but the reason the Facebook groups works better than the Facebook feed is because you're signing up for it. I think most people who, just engage with their Facebook or Twitter feed, it's just everybody I randomly ran into in the last 5 years. That's too much.
I know.
No focus.
And it does feel good when you do go in and clean it out. I'm not going to lie. And it's amazing oftentimes how much your feed gets transformed.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for listening to Tripod. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. For show notes and past episodes, go to tripodpodcast.com. Connect with Tricycle Creative on social media at Hello Tricycle and learn more about how we can help you with your marketing at tricycle-creative.com.